Welcome back to yet another episode of Buy-In Conversations. This time round, we have Farah Abdullah, former CEO of MuslimPro. They have 170 million users and they raised 20 million in Series A. Hi, Farah.
Hi, Sofian. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you.
Thank you. And I'm really happy to be here this morning.
Awesome. A lot of energy, a lot of insight. So here's the thing, right? We hear so much about the work that you do in the media, right? Traditional media and on social media. Okay. We know so much about Farah Abdullah, former CEO of MuslimPro. But here's the thing, Farah. Okay. What do people not know about you that you wish more people knew about you?
That's an interesting question. Wow, you go straight away to the hard questions.
We go straight to the heart of the questions. Yes.
Well, actually, I think I'm a pretty much an open book. Although I'm quite private in person, I'm pretty much an open book. I'm quite direct. I think I say what's on my mind, and then nothing else. I mean, there's no other things that people need to figure out about me. If I don't like it, I'll say. If this is how I think it is to be, I'll say it. So yeah, I think I'm pretty direct. I think one point on that is that sometimes direct person can be misunderstood quite a bit because they say, "Oh, you're like too strong or too much," or this kind of things. I've always preferred to be, just say it as how it is rather than leave it unsaid and then things do not get done and then there's a lot of misunderstanding. So yeah.
Wow. So I'm hearing say it how it is, rather than there's a lot of misunderstanding and things don't get done. I think a lot of
Yes.
people might struggle with that, Farah, because they want to be nice, but when you're nice, sometimes you don't tell the truth. So
Yes,
how do you
exactly.
navigate that? How do you communicate that?
Well, to be very frank, initially, we do all this profiling and everything, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, my forte has always been direct communication, pushing things through. I'm a typical D and for
Mm.
those who are hearing it, right? But I think it's good because I'm a D, but then I have a lot of I in me also. So I think that helps with the communication bit. So I think from the very beginning, I don't believe in not speaking my mind. I always know that everything comes with a pinch of salt. We have to understand that to get things moving, to get things going, to have clarity, you need to sometimes speak up, and also own that conversation. And also, of course, you have to listen. You will have to listen first. So always, and this is my sales training in the background, listen first, listen, everything. And then after that, then form the solution or then form the strategy, right? But when you're communicating a strategy, be very clear. Do not be worried about mincing things or being too nice because sometimes when you try to layer things too much, it gets lost in translation. So yeah, so this is what I've been doing throughout my career. And I think that really helped me, to move ahead, to be visible, to form strategies, to get hard feedbacks also. Because when you say it directly, a lot of times you also get direct feedback, which I totally love, honestly, because then there's no more filter among the niceties, the everything, right? So to me, that's my style. But I do know of many times that this is also not as comfortable for a lot of people.
Okay, yes, for sure. Not everyone is a D or I.
Yes.
So when
What about you? What are you?
I don't think I've
C.
done I'm not sure actually. I could be a C, I could be a
Yes.
I, or even an S. I'm not too sure. But I know my other profiles. But I wanted to zoom out a little bit, right? Like people again, right? When I hear Farah Abdullah, like the headlines is something that stands out a lot. But I wish more people knew the journey that you had to go through in order to even run such a company. I wish more people saw what it was like to really run a company, the day to day, the decisions that you had to make, the doubts that you had, the deeper lessons that you had. Okay. So at that point in time when you were scaling Muslim Pro, right? You scale up to 170 million users, right? Let's talk about the users first, right? At that point in time when you were scaling, can you walk me through that's a big number, right? What if okay, let's consolidate the question. What was one non-negotiable that you had, right? That helped you to scale the company to such a size. What was
Mhm.
that principle?
Well, if I could say in one sentence, um it would be to empower your team to do what's right, for the various different departments. However, to stay very hands on still, to really understand their day to day, to really understand what it takes to scale it up from ground up. It's not like just giving that strategy and then okay, you run with it. Of course they will be the one who say, okay, this is what we should do. Okay, we empower them with it, but I am very much hands on. Even my co-CEO Nick, we're very much hands on. We understand everything, and I think that's the one that gives us that edge, that advantage, when we are facing with shareholders, when we're facing with investors who are looking to invest in our company, when we're facing the media, we
Mm.
are able to understand and answer every step of the way because we are part of it every step of the way. So yeah, that would be the one. It's more than one line, but that would be the one point that I would say helped us grow Muslim Pro to what it is, and inshallah, in my future journeys too.
It means you empowered the team.
We empower the team, yes, but we don't leave the team to do everything by themselves. We are fully aware. That means I'm involved in almost every department meeting. Of course, more of an overview, but I understand the process and what it takes every step of the way, right? So it's not just like some high figure and then you figure it out, or high number and then you figure it out. We are there with them every step of the way, from UI, UX to user flow to when there's a technical issue, why it happened, what can be done quickly, strategies, pricing strategies. So basically, they propose what they think is right, and then we are there with them every step of the way, backing them, understanding, and being there for them.
This is very interesting. Could you walk us through, because people hearing your story, right? Sometimes they feel it's a little bit out of reach. Hey, I can't
Mm.
even get 1 million, let alone 170, right? Like, maybe you can walk us through, let's say zero to maybe, I don't know, the first few hundred users. What would be a priority that you think founders should focus on at that stage?
Mentor once said to me very rightly that when you have just done a new app or new product or new digital solution, what you really need to do is to get your core users, your loyal users. So what they mean by that is it could be family members. At the first launch of an app, usually you'll get all your family and friends to download it and everything. So that's perfectly fine. But what you really need to understand is why are your users coming back? Why are they using your product? So this is really important because from there you can expand and develop your product further with regards to that. So they're coming back to you for the Quran, for example. Okay, then you make sure that you do a really, really good Quran. They're coming back to you because it's really easy for them to do a payment, for example, on your platform. Okay, then you make sure that that part is really being advertised, highlighted, marketed, and it's really being fine tuned, right? So you really need to first get your core users. After getting your core users, definitely, usually you'll need to get some reach in terms of marketing and advertising it out there. This is your core. This is your core product. This is your core function feature that everyone like. That the first 100 or 1,000 like, and then you need to really market this, and usually this is done by two ways. One is organic means word of mouth, getting sometimes influencers even to talk about it. But second way would be, and this is usually the typical tech way, because tech people, we don't really like to talk or use the typical marketing strategies, right? So what they like to do is usually use digital paid advertising,
Mm.
in fact, because this is very quantitative. So, for example, you have $1,000 in budget for advertising. You want to target, for example, Indonesia. You
Mm.
know exactly how much you have to pay in order to get that one download. So this is called a cost per install, CPI. So basically, you just pay. Okay, so 1,000 will get me 1,500 users in Indonesia, downloads in Indonesia. So that's how you go. So that's how you make your money work for you, your budget work for you, and then you really need to be able to target which markets you want to go into. What's the cost per install? What's the cost per download? What's the cost per subscription? And that's a different one. You need to understand that, do the math, and then invest in that. So one is to make sure that the product is exactly what your core users would like. They always come back for it. Now you know that the experience will be good. You get the reach via paid advertising or organic, but that's usually a little bit harder because you need to get virality, you need to get word of mouth, you need to get influencer and everything to be on board.
Wow,
So that would be how you should start.
that's amazing. So I understand what you mean when you say it's more predictable to just pump money in and then you have a ROI out. That kind of
Yes, that's a very when I was when I first joined the tech world, right?
yeah.
I was like thinking, because I started as marketing and sales, right? So I was thinking like, okay, I know what to do, is to meet clients, everything and then to get this advertisement out, and then to get like, influencers in and everything. Because typically that's what you think. When you think marketing, you think influencers, you think social media, for example, right? And then I realized this is completely opposite of the tech world. The tech world is very structured. It's very, everything comes with a quantitative kind of matrix, right? Everything comes with, even, to launch a new feature or even the color of a button within your feature, everything is quantitative in a sense that there will be A/B testings done. So A/B testings is really like how what the term is. A/B means you let your user choose either A or B option. And you don't even know you're choosing, Sofian, because what will happen is that out of 100 of your users, 50% will get A option and look like this. The app will look like this. B will get the app looking another way. And then we will analyze which one people click more, stay with it more, use more, and then we will go with that option. And we are constantly part of these A/B testings in the tech world every time. So yeah, so it's very quantitative, I feel, the tech world. So as soon as I know that, I learn and I think it's revolutionary. Of course, at the very beginning, your budget will be low.
Mhm.
You won't have millions, you won't have even hundreds of thousands. You will usually start off with a few thousand. So you need to really strategize. Where do you go? Where do you go to spend this money? That's one. Is it in Facebook? Is it in Google Ads? Is it in social media? This is what you need to understand. And secondly, you also need to understand your core market, your core users, and then you can really double down there, right? And then, of course, there is actually a third way. So the third way is actually to make sure that you have quite a bit of partnerships. You
Mm.
know, the Muslim ecosystem is vast, wide. Everyone is really very helpful. They're always looking to do some collaboration, partnership, and everything. You can always do those kinds. We call it like B2B or instead of B2C, B2B. So then you get mass adoptions from that also. So yeah,
I
this
was
would be the
just gonna
best.
ask you, you read my mind. I was just gonna ask you because your app is very much a B2C app, right? But here's the thing, like sometimes when I meet some tech founders, some of them are very much heavy on B2B, some of them are deep
Yeah,
tech and
yeah.
they have to work with B2B. So, like, what's your take on a good B2B strategy to either get the distribution channel up or even convince somebody who's a big player in the market to even want to talk to you? Because at many times as founders, they start really small. So, what's your take on something like how do they enter the market?
Yeah, so that's the thing. That's why even for Muslim Pro, B2B was something that we explored. I think 7 years in after Muslim Pro, we didn't start off immediately. But that's the thing. B2C is always a more direct communication line, a more direct way to convince and to show your consumers what you have, right? So that's why a lot of founders at the very beginning, app founders, web founders, they're big on B2C. Because from there, you can prove that you have a certain number. It could be like 1,000, but you can say, this 1,000 users, they are here on my app for more than 20 minutes. I'm able to get them to um, continuously use my app daily and everything. So this is all very interesting because the other partner will always want a few things, I feel.
Mm.
One is either reach. They want to partner with someone who has that reach. If they don't have that reach, they want to partner with someone who has a really good product that they don't have. Like for
Mm.
example, they're a marketplace, or say for example, they're a bank, and then they want to integrate some sort of lifestyle apps into their own app and everything. So it's always to complement what are the products that they don't have. So I would say it's either reach, complementary product features that they don't have. And then third is they always want to know, how can I get users to be more active through this partnership, to stay with me more, to use my app more, because that's all the matrix that usually a digital app is convinced by, right? Usage, time of usage, and then also frequency, and then also the number of downloads and installs and everything. So yeah, so this would be all the key criteria that they will consider. So you need to fulfill one of them before you're able to have a very good B2B partnership. If not, it's also like, okay, let's partner up, and then what? What's the objectives that you're looking to get from it? Yeah.
That's very interesting because when you mentioned how long they use it, how many times a day they use it, and whether they stick retention rate, right? I think very much like sometimes people have a lot of ideas for apps and a lot of ideas to go into tech. Knowing what you know, which is what you're sharing with us, the audience, the metrics, if you look at those metrics as important, then I think they will function very differently. You'll start to look at, because sometimes they have an idea, but people don't use it many times a week or many times a day.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that's also, you see, this is very typical. I came from a non-technical background and
Okay. Yeah.
non-technical industry, right? For like, I think 15 years, I was in
Wow.
FFCG. So for me, yeah, I was in, actually, this is, I was from Avian
Wow.
for
Wow.
like, yes, for 8 years. And then prior to that, I was in Pearson Education. And then I was in Far East for about 2 years. In very different. It's really different. Often when you get an idea, you think, okay, it's something that people will use, or it's something that people will be excited about. But that's how it is quite different. A digital product needs to be, the matrix is very, very different. It's all about usage, right? And when you mean usage, it's not just use one time and then that's about it. Some things can be very lucrative one time. And then after that, you will uninstall the app and everything because you don't need it anymore. That's why the matrix for like a digital solution or an app or web is always usage, frequency, and also the reach, right? This is okay. Why do you think that people want usage, longer usage? The reason is that when you are able to capture audience attention or the user's attention, that's when you can get them to be more loyal to your product, to your features. That's one. But it also means that that's when you can upsell a lot more things, right? Because
Right. For sure.
you could expose them to an advertisement. You could expose them to more features that leads them to spend more time. But thirdly, it's also, let's be realistic, you have to monetize one way or the other. So in order to monetize, you need to capture their attention for a bit longer, or for a very specific, like for, or if not longer, more frequency, like every day they have to come back, because that's when you can show an advert to them, or you can get them to need the features so much that without it you are crippled by it. And then you're willing to pay, if you are asked to, or you want more features out of it. Like today, can you really do without ChatGPT? And
Oh,
that was just introduced to us like a few months back, right? But
yeah.
then could we really do with it tomorrow if WhatsApp wants to implement something, a firewall? If not, you'll have to pay for that and everything. Can you really do without it and everything? So that is all the objective that usually apps and web and digital solution players harness, right? So you need to understand what's the matrix that people are going for in this tech world, which is really hard to understand if you're not in this world, honestly, because I didn't understand a thing when I came. I didn't even know that the way they advertise is different, that they do A/B testing. For us, A/B testing is like survey. Let's do a survey. Ask 50 people, right? But no, their survey is on you. Every time, every single thing that you do is a survey, actually.
I only have some understanding of A/B testing because when we do email marketing, they'll show one email liner to like 50 people and then another email liner to another 50. Then after 1 hour, they'll pump out the one that wins. So
Correct.
that's my understanding in what A/B testing. But I want to riff off. Okay, I think let me just let riff off what you just said first. So what I'm hearing from you is understand the metrics that matter the most,
Yes.
usability, how long they stay, and then I want to riff off from that, which is the monetization strategy. Right? I'm sure there
Okay.
are many ways to go about it, and some founders who started their own apps or SaaS or whatever products, right, they probably are considering, here, should I do ads or should I have a paywall? Should I have a freemium? So, like, what's your take on something like that?
I think it's really hard to have a generalized kind of monetization strategy. You must really understand how you intend to monetize.
Mm,
Even at the beginning, when you come up with a product, do you know how to monetize already? And this is some of the things that, again, this mentor, he's really good. He told me this. When you're coming up with a new app, first you need to understand your core users. That's one. Secondly, is you need to have some budget, right, to make sure that you invest in paid advertising, organic or non or paid growth. That's one. That's two, because people will not really kind of entertain you unless you have a certain number of people, like your first 10,000 or your first 20,000. And you need that numbers in order to grow organic also. You need that reach. But thirdly is you need, if you want to attract more investors, more funds, you need to understand and be able to articulate your monetization strategy from the start. And this is all related to your product. Like there's so many ways in which you can monetize actually. So the first monetization strategy that I think everyone knows is advertisement, right? So it's the annoying thing that pops up when you're playing your game or asks you to look at something at the sidebar and everything. So that is advertisement. So advertisement, there's also two ways. One is direct advertisement. That means there is someone who comes to you and say, hey, I think your app is perfect for my products. Can I advertise with you? So that's one. Secondly is called a waterfall adverts or something like Google Ads. This is more automated. You go to Google. Google basically have an inventory of advertisement. You plug it in, and then you get paid accordingly. So that's advertisement. Secondly is subscription. So for example, if you want to access to more premium features, more questions, you want to unlock more questions, you want to go to the different tier of the games, you want to remove all the advertisement, you want to do some customization, you want to get the latest limited edition character. So then this will be subscription model. So, and then there is always other forms of monetization, which is one of them is really in-app, how do I say, in-app subscription. There's two types also. One is you pay one time, you get everything, right? But there are also, and this is usually more for the gaming industry, it's like you unlock. You want this coin, you pay. You want this character, you pay for it. So this is as you go along, right? You pay for it, and this is one of the way that they keep you there and they keep you interested also, right? So then that's another way. And then there are also other forms, which is including, for example, this is more of B2B, or
mm,
rather when you have other products like for example an insurance, for example, is in your app. They advertise in your app, that's fine. But there are also they will also give a commission or a transaction fee or platform fee. Say for example, if there is a transaction made from your platform, so that's another way. So there's really so many ways, and I can think of 10 more. But yes, when you are designing and creating your product, you need to understand your monetization strategy at the start. Because I mean, let's be frank here, although I've been in the Muslim industry for about 5 years now, and sometimes I do hear from our local guys or even from our Muslim community, they say, but it's a ibadah, or it's something that I want to do to give back to the community. And this is so true, because honestly, if you start in this industry, like this Muslim community, giving back, the the rahmah, the barakah, you can't get it anywhere else, and I'm one like that. I really feel like after Muslim Pro, there's no way I can work in a more secular, because the feeling is different. To serve the community is different. However, we need to be practical also, because without funds coming in, you won't be able to sustain your app. An app is not like a product, where you mass produce and then after that you sell. Make sure you sell, and then you have maybe only the warehousing cost and everything. That's about it. But an app is a continuous progression, a continuous development. Today, if you build an app, you don't update it in the next 6 months. Your developers don't update it, or you don't abide by App Store and Play Store rules and everything, it's going to not. You won't see the latest update. Your app will be buggy. It won't be compatible to the phones and everything. So there's continuous work to be done there. So that means investment too. And so a lot of times I really fully advise my clients also, you need to be sustainable at the start. If you can't show a monetization strategy, no one's going to invest in you. So no matter how good their intention is, because it will just be a bleeding thing unless it's by the government. Also, usually there is a end game at the end of the session, right? So if it's not monetization, they want certain things, right? But most of it is they want to get an ROI, a monetary ROI out of it. And that's fine, I think. It's just that we need to find a way to navigate between this faith, technology, business, and everything, which is the most difficult, by the way. Yeah, because it's like you're combining all the sensitive things, right?
And I can't imagine how you walk through that landmine, because again, right, there are sensitive issues, sensitive comments, and I think what I'm getting from you is, yes, there is a service element to it, but at the end of the day, there has to be a practical engine that helps to sustain it. And ultimately, if you, as a founder, if you don't think about that, then you cannot sustain and play the long game, the end game.
Yes.
On this topic of monetization, obviously, you've been very influential in the process of you raising the 20 million Series A. I think one thing top of mind is when I meet some founders, they don't necessarily want to raise Series A. Some of them are still at angel investors type of thing. Some of them even bootstrap their way and then they exit, right? So for you at that point, what was your thought process like? Like, okay, when do you know, okay, I'm not going to bootstrap anymore, or we are not going to bootstrap anymore, we need to raise Series A? What was the decision making like?
Yeah. No, I think honestly, I'm really for, and I really respect founders who bootstrap their way through. I think it gives them a lot more control. It gives them an opportunity to realize their vision, because even if you want to raise money too early, I would really recommend that you have a good think about what portions of the company are you willing to give away, what portions of control are you willing to give away, right? Because it's all about shareholding and everything. And why I say I really respect founders who bootstrap for as long as they can is because then it gives them that leeway to have more control over their shares. Even when they raise funds, they do not need to give away too much of their shares.
Mm.
So all this takes time, and I think it's really good if you bootstrap it from the start, at least for the very beginning. However, there will come a time that okay, you feel that you're at the end of the road in a sense because of funding. You need someone to come on board and you need to expand, because there comes a time where you hit a certain plateau. So like, okay, without paid ads money, I can't go beyond 1,000
Mm.
users, for example. Without this, I can't develop the next big thing that people say that my current users say is really good, and then they want to funnel it in, but then I can't afford it and everything, right? So you need to be very clear of what's your objective. And then, of course, you go to the fundraising. So the fundraising stage, I think, is really interesting. It's a really tricky one, I would say. You need to navigate it very, very carefully. So fundraisers, maybe I can just give some color
Yeah,
because I again didn't have a single clue. So
go ahead.
when honestly, it was a very steep learning trajectory for me. Why I wanted to share this is because I want people to understand that I do not come from this background. I do not have a computer engineering degree. So it is possible to learn, but you have to keep a very open mind and you have to really be willing to put in the hours to talk to as many people as possible to learn very, very quickly, right? While on the job. So for fundraising, there is different kinds actually. So one is the first layer is usually angel investors. So angel investors are usually very small investors, anything from 50,000, 30,000 to 100,000, 200,000 maybe, right? So these are usually people who high net worth individuals who believe in your vision, who thinks that, okay, I think I want to have some a foot in. They will usually invest bits and pieces here and there for different companies, but this is called angel investors. Usually, a company that does not have a certain track record, or they have not reached a certain revenue target and everything, they will go for angel investors. Okay. So this is usually the first layer. Second layer is that they will go for like a pre series, or like, pre prior to series A, first raise of funds, right? So usually this is again either from high net worth individuals, or they can go to private equity to is it. So for investors also, the next tranche of investors, there's also two types. One is private equity. So usually this is privately owned. They have to make their money within 3 to 5 years, and then they will resell it back because they have their own IPs to LPs, sorry, to account to and to give it back to. And then the next layer would be the VCs. So this is the venture capitalists. So usually venture capitalists, they are the ones that are a bit more, they have a bit more money. I would say they have a lot more funds because they actually have quite a bit of funds to disperse. They are also a little bit more aggressive in terms of the vision. They're always about, let's not look at short term gain. I'm all about not really for profit later, but I want you to grow. I want you to everything. So why I'm mentioning this is because you need to be very careful. What is your company vision? Where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years before you take the money from someone else? Because then that will craft who you take the money from. Is it from angels? Is it from private equities? Or is it from VCs? So you
Mm.
have to understand, private equity, you must make sure that you break even or make profit for them in the next 3 to 5 years. Yeah. So their objective will be all about, okay, let's make the profit, let's make the profit, let's make the profit. Whereas a VC will probably be, no, why are we taking profit now? Let's repump the money into new product, new features, new everything. They're a bit more aggressive, but they have a bit more appetite for risk and everything, right? So you need to understand all of this, because who you choose as an investor is really going to be very key for you in the future, because you need to make sure that the investors are very much aligned. For me, when I was choosing the investors, I make sure that not only they give us monetary benefits, that means they pump in the money, but they must be very much aligned to what I'm doing, and they must back me up, right? So that's another thought I had when I was choosing the fundraisers also. And then the third one is to make sure that they have complementary products also, so
Mm.
that they are able to really contribute. Say, for example, you take someone who is in the oil and gas to be your investor. Could they really understand when you say that, oh, I have to do this, or I have to do paid advertising, or I have to do A/B testing, or I have to do, there's a bug, or I have to, all these things, they can't understand. So sometimes it's just easier to get someone from the ecosystem. They can also back you up. They can also open up doors for you in different manners. So strategic investors is very important. And also, of course, the one with the financial backing.
What's very interesting there, what you said is I like how you mapped out the different options for founders. And I think it's good to have the landscape. These days, I also hear of some founders who, like, for example, Stan Store, like they decided to go partnership with big influencers who already have their distribution channel as well, instead of raising money per se. So I think there are a lot of models essentially right
Yeah.
now that you
Yes.
can.
I think most importantly is, I think that you can find a lot of people with access funds to who might want to fund you. I think most importantly, or honestly, is the strategic partnership, because I know of so many companies that break, or that go their separate ways, and that just disperse just because there's no shareholders or investors alignment. Because you must remember, once they pump in the money, they have a say in your company. What is a percentage, that is okay. But there are also, I mean, honestly, to be very frank, there are investors who they pump in like less than 10% of the company. The way their involvement, their what they want to say for the company and the strategies is very is much more than that 10%, which is fine if it's constructive. But sometimes it can be a deterrent in your day-to-day operations, because you're a founder, right? you have many things to do, many things on your mind. You need to make sure the product is out. You need to make sure that you monetize. Make sure that when there's a bug, you need to handle the users. You need to handle the partners and then the investors also.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure that this is someone that you can imagine working with, and it's going to be constructive. If not, it's going to be very difficult.
Farah, I'm very curious. At that point in time when you're raising, do you have to do like presentations? Were there presentations, or is it like you just choose and then they decide to work with you?
No, it's a long process, Sofian. It's like a lot of people think that investors like tomorrow you can. There's so much money. They said that it's all moving in the industry. But even for someone quite established in the Muslim apps business like MuslimPro, we took almost, I think, 18 months before we got our first investment.
18 months.
Yes, a lot of how do I say?
You have to do,
It's a
you have to pitch.
Yes. Yes, a lot of pitches. So first, the first one is cold calling. You have to do a lot of cold calling. You attend a lot of events where there's investors, and then you pitch, right? You do like a quick 5 minutes elevator kind of pitch and everything. And then after that, you will go. It will be a really a big win for us already if you can get a investors meeting first, and then that will be the investors meeting. Also there will be like 3 to 5 meetings, layers, because first is the introductory, second they will introduce you to the wider team, to the wider, and then third they will usually the decision makers, the board within that investors, like who are the board members, and then they need to get that consensus. And then you will usually, as a founder, you will get grilled by the investor, because what it was interesting, because honestly, I don't even know, but Muslim Pro is not founded by me. Muslim Pro is actually founded 14 years ago by another founder, right? So when I took over, I was the appointed CEO, right? So then they will grill you. They will say like, for us, we don't back the company, but we back the founder, we back the CEO, because what is your vision? It's you who's gonna take the company to a certain level. It's not the shareholders or whoever, So for as a founder or as a CEO, get prepared to be grilled. And I still remember I was grilled like for 3 hours, and like, okay, so what if you leave? So what happens? Okay, so what is your vision? Why do you go that way? Why do you think this? So that, and then that is just the beginning. So once they have a bit of an interest to invest, and this is usually after 4 or 5 meetings or 6 meetings even, then they will go through a preliminary. They will say, okay, this we have a preliminary interest, but first we will have to go through due diligence. So then due diligence is another long story where you have to submit your data, your files to this. You have to go through like, I think, 500 questions. I remember I went through 500 questions before, answer every single question that was asked about your company from A to Z, right? And then if you pass all the due diligence, then that's when you'll get the fund. So it's a comprehensive thing. People think that, oh, there's a lot of money, let's just get it. I think angel will probably be easier, honestly, because angel are usually individuals, and then they say, okay, I believe in you, let's do a simple agreement, I'll pump in. But that's why the amount is usually way lower, right? As opposed to a VC or private equity, where there will be so many discussions. So, to answer your question, presentation, yes, multiple times.
Yeah.
First, a short. So always a short deck first, like a 5 to 6 pager investors deck, and then once they are interested, we have like a 15 pager deck that shows our simulation, our forecasting, our where we intend to be in the next 5 years. They always want to see that, and then multiple interviews for the founders, but sometimes not only just the founders, but also the HODs, the head of tech, head of marketing, head of content, or whatever, right? Because they want to know whether your team is behind you. And then the due diligence process,
Yeah.
and then you'll get the money.
So, those listening, right? This should inspire hope, right? Because now she's mapped out the process for us. She's kind of given you hope, like, okay, you know what, this is what you need to expect, so you don't come in surprised, right? But here's the thing, Farah, there's a lot of nuggets there that I think I don't want to let you off too fast to the next topic. That 3 hour grilling, right? Is something people don't see behind the scenes. So that's something
Yeah,
I
of
want to
course.
tease out, right? For example, you teased out what you should include in your 5 pager deck to investor and then the 15 pager. To you, now that you are a founder, you're a CEO, you've scaled the company and you've also seen many other companies, what makes a good pitch to you? When you look at the founders, when you look at people presenting to you, let's say you know what, Farah, can you invest in my company? How would you rate a good pitch or presentation? What are the components?
Yeah. I think, there's a lot of people with great ideas, revolutionary ideas, ideas to a solution that, of course, it will be really good. And I think we hear this all the time, even at coffee shops, right? Like, "Oh, I want to do this, and I think it's really good." And yeah, and most of the time, it's really true. It's really a great idea. But I think for me, if I were to invest, or if what to me would be a good pitch is someone who has clarity how to get there, It might not be 100% because, of course, things evolve, problems come up, things are diverted and everything. But what I would really like to see is a very clear understanding of what it takes to get there. And then I think you need to really understand the monetization strategies. How do you intend to sustain your business? Because, yes, I have 10 brilliant ideas every single night, for example, but all these require investment, right? In terms of whether time, effort, people, money, all of this, right? So you need to be very clear of what it takes, how to get there. Monetization strategy is really important, and where you see it. That means, do you want to go IPO? Do you want to sell your company? Do you want to just monetize via the app or the digital solutions? You need to be very, very clear. If you can show this clarity, I think an investor will invest with you. But if you yourself ask yourself these three questions and you can't, you'll be like, maybe I want to do this, or I don't know. Then you need to rework on your pitch, right? Because this will be the questions that they will ask you, and then they will also ask you, okay, how do you intend to increase your time spent on app, reach? How do you increase this? Because these are all the things that people look for when they're investing in your product. Yeah.
Amazing. Though I hope you guys are noting down these nuggets. Those of you listening, um, I'm also very curious to know whether is there any particular pitch structure that you would recommend? I mean, I'm hearing a lot of good landmarks, right? But I was wondering, I think some people, like for example, like YC, like they'll say like, okay, talk about your traction, talk about your team, talk about, yeah. What I'm hearing for you is monetization, and then how you intend. Are there any other components that probably been left out that most people don't know about that you think should be in the deck or in the presentation?
No, I think it's about that, and also, of course, showing your team, right? Showing your team structures, and then that you actually have people that's backing you up. That is solid, because they will be interviewed too in the due diligence usually.
Right, right. The team. Okay, okay. So amazing thing so far on raising funds and growth. I think let's pivot a little bit now. Let's look a little bit in terms of leadership. I understand leading a team of that scale is not going to be easy. You have to do media, you have to do PR, you have to do raising money, you have to speak to investors, users. So there's so much on your plate. Additionally, right, what are the day-to-day habits that you felt helped you to operate on such a high level?
Huh. Okay, let me think back. What did I do? Well, I'm always starting with, I think, a HOD meeting, right? It's really to make sure that, okay, I know that every department is ready, sorted. There is no fires to put out that day. And then, yeah, I think, I'm not a very big overthinker. I tend to, let's just do it, let's just go as it is, day by day we go for it. So, and I think, not a lot of people will agree with me on that, I think, because a lot of them think, okay, we need to strategize, we need to think how is it going to be. And I think for the past 45 minutes I've been telling the listeners also that you need to have a plan, you need to have a concrete thing. But honestly, what I feel differentiates the great ideas, the one who just have ideas, to the one who actually succeeds, is people who just do it. You need to just take it day by day. Know that tomorrow there's going to be another set of issues, there's going to be another checklist that you have to do, but you have to get moving now. Do not wait till a perfect product to launch. Do not wait till you think like, oh, okay, my company is great traditionally, but if I want to do digital solutions, I probably need to get my backend in order first. I need to get the data in order first, but I don't know where is it. My files are all over the place and everything. You need to get started. You cannot just, okay, let's wait for it to be perfect and then we get someone. No, you need to make sure that you go for it straight away, right? Because if not, you will never start and then you will never learn and then you will never know, right?
You never start, you never learn, you never know. Amazing.
Yes.
It's absolutely right. We hear that a lot. Just start, and just try, go out of your comfort zone. But as I talk to you, right, Farah, I get a sense that one, obviously, you've said this many times, just go. So you're very bold. You're very daring to just like go out there, and I think that's a trait that a lot of people I talk to have. That they just go. Like they don't, who dares wins, right? The whole saying. If you dare, you win. But the second thing that's coming up for me as I speak to you is you're someone that's highly practical and you're also very operational, right?
Mm.
You know the day to day so well because you run the day to day. And to me, right, a lot of people can talk big talk, like, there's all these numbers, all these stats, right? But like, and we hear so much on the news about new founders raising so much money and all that. But ultimately, it's you, how you run, who you are as a person, and that's where I think I kind of wish more people can kind of see what goes on behind. I think you should do like a vlog. Day in my life. Oh, this
No,
is how
I'm
I.
so.
My God, it's so tough for me to.
Do you want to do it for me? No, I mean, honestly, but I'm still quite a private person.
For sure, yeah.
Honestly, my team knows this. They've been like, oh yeah, they've been saying, oh, you should do a vlog, just like, do something. And I'm like, yeah, but I really cherish my time. Like me, I'm just not that person. Although I do try, but I feel miserably because like after all this is done, I'm like, oh yeah, I should have recorded it. All this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just have that a bit of courage. There are many times that I feel that I can't do it. It's not just sometimes it's really about there are many days, honestly, that I feel like I can't do it, or I think I'm just, winging it, or will people see it that I'm just like an imposter syndrome and everything, and everything. But I always tell myself that, it's the same thing. What is my motto? I think this is from when I was really young. It's like, oh, but so what, like, who cares what they think? Honestly, it's you. And if you want to try, just try because you will never know if you don't try. So, and then it just goes back to it. And then I'll just do it. Whether I fail or I don't, that's another story. But at first you will have to try and you will have to go 100% at it.
I think you've teased a little bit about like the lows of the journey. Some
Yeah.
people say that being founder, CEO, it can be a lonely path, right? Is this something that you faced, or like how was that like for you? Do you ever feel like, okay, it's kind of quiet, alone, like navigate that in
Yeah.
certain methods?
Yeah, I think it is very, 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 very true. The path when you're at the top is very lonely one. It's a very lonely one because honestly, it's like you can't really talk to anyone because if you share all your problems with your friend, which is your HODs, they might be demotivated, right?
Hmm.
Or they might not, or they might. It's like you need to make sure that they stay on track, that they are constantly motivated, so that they can motivate their team, but you are also facing a lot of challenges from the shareholders part, everything, the issues that is going around in the company. So you can't really share with them. Now you can't really share with the shareholders or the investors because you need to manage them also, right? In a sense that, of course, it's a lie if people say you don't manage your investors. You'd have to because there are certain, if for example, I tell everything about my day to day that's going wrong, sometimes things are just wrong for one day, but then the investors might think, oh, it's a terrible thing that's happening and it won't be fixed ever. So you need to manage them also. I need to understand what are some of the things you need to share, what you can't share, what you need to package it in a way that they will understand because sometimes they're not from that industry and everything. So you can't speak to them, obviously, right? So you're like the sandwich, right? And then everything just falls on you. But I've been really lucky, to be very honest, because even in Muslim Pro, I had a co-CEO, which was Nick Emir. So Nick was really a very good co-partner, I would say, because we can bounce things off each other. And he's more of the analytical, risk take. He's more risk adverse, and then he will be like, should we do this? This kind of things. So it's good because we bounce off each other. So I think I've been really lucky in that. But I would say, and this is something that my husband also says to me, is that he says, when you're starting a business, he's an entrepreneur. So he says, when you are starting a business, you need to, for him at least, and he advises this to me, is that you have to have a partner, or like a person that through good and bad, you all will be together, right? In a sense that for him, it's his brother. He entered into a business with his brother. So you can have your disagreements and everything, but you know that there's always someone that has your back or that you can speak to and everything. So I think this is really important because I've known of so many individual founders who just got burnt out, and then they stop, or they after that they find for a partner that could really help them, because it's really really lonely when you're at the top, because so many things are all on you, to pay your staff. How can you say that to your staff that, what, actually in my bank account or in the company's bank account is left with 1 month of salary for everyone? You can't say that because your staff will panic, right? So there are all these things that you need to consider. And I think having like a partner, like an equal partner to really, who's as invested, who has the same vision as you, is really important.
Oh, speaking of that, I think for some people, you mentioned partner, right? For some people, finding a co-founder is a task on its own. Like some people know how to sell, but they need a tech as someone who's a CTO. Some
Yes,
people
yes.
who are very technically inclined, they need someone to sell. And so I want to ask you like about that, like choosing a partner. One part two of the question is more on, when you run a tech company for
You mean for the development?
yeah, for the first one is for how to find co-founders, how to find someone that's aligned. Second one is more of developers.
Well, honestly, co-founders is a very tricky one. It's really hard to find someone who has the same mind as you, but good in different specialty and niche or specialty. So how do I say? It's really, I think, to get someone that is really aligned to you, not in terms of, I would say, in terms of vision, but not necessarily in terms of character or in terms of specialty and everything. There will always be people who have differences with you, right? Even currently for I have a company now. It's called M2M Digital. It does end-to-end digital solutions for mainly the Muslim community who wants to have integrate digital solutions into whether it's built one or integrated with their current systems and everything. So currently, my partner is actually my best friend. I think you know her, is Nurifa.
Yes.
So Nurifa, so I mean, she comes from a different industry totally. She's from the shipping management, tech also, but shipping management. But what, and the thing is, I know that we will probably have disagreements and everything, but I know that we will never. She will always have my back. I will always have her back, and we will always sort it out. I think that's the most important when you're finding a co-founder or partner. You must know that you will have differing views. You have different characters,
Mm.
you will see things from a different perspective, and this you must take it as it's a positive. Actually, you will have disagreements, but it's a positive because that's why you chose that person as your partner, right? Because they will bring the different perspective, right? But you must know that this person will be with you through it all. It's not like after one or two disagreements, you'll be like, okay, I don't want it anymore, that I see a lot. But we should make sure that it's someone, and from the very beginning, you must say, okay, whatever happens, we will do it together. If we want to close the company, we will do it together when both of us are aligned also. It cannot be you bailing out on me or I'm bailing out on you. So I think that's the most important when you're finding a co-founder. Secondly, with regards to the tech team, I'm a big believer of both, honestly. I have seen both ways work and don't work. For me, honestly, at this point, I see that the best arrangement is that you have a very small dev team, a development team in house. And when I mean small, it can be up to less than five, 3 to 5. It can even be one, honestly. It can be one really good one. And then you outsource the features that you want to be done very quickly, your product pipeline. But what is most important is that you have an in-house, because they will be the one to safeguard your proprietary rights, your codes. They will be the one that pulls things together.
Yes.
And then you can use the third party, but the third party, of course, you can have exclusive agreements and long-term partnerships with third party. That's good. But it's always good to have someone in-house that actually protects your codes, your vision, your directions, and ideally someone is someone that you can call or is just beside you or something, and then you can draw this vision and everything of yours, and they articulate it in a technical manner to the third party. It prevents a lot of miscommunication, I think, and I think this is the best synergy for me, at least so far, is that use the third party for all the different features to go faster, to go bigger, but you need to have those key men in
Mm,
house to be there. For me, it doesn't make sense. A lot of times, I think prior to this, people do not like to use third party because they say, oh, in the end, I have to explain more things, double work.
yeah.
It's going to be expensive later on. Now it's cheap and everything. But I really believe in it because now there are so many types of technology that there is like sometimes you say, I want a payment gateway. Okay, but if you want to do it in house, you've never done it. You're a maybe marketplace specialist. You don't know anything about payments, for example, right? So why don't you get someone who's the expert in it and they can do it at a much shorter time, better rate, and everything. But you need to make sure that the codes that they're doing is going back is in alignment to all of your other products, and this is your job. So I would say that I'm a big believer in a good blend of both, a hybrid of both.
Interesting. I've never heard of a hybrid answer, so it's really cool because I always
Yes,
think one or the other. I guess there's always a gray area. There's always like both kind of option,
yes, yes.
which is very beautiful. Jana, you briefly mentioned about what you're currently busy with, right? I'm very curious to know like what excites you today because that was a phase in your career. Right now, like what gets you is you running, because you're a very ambitious person, right? So what's next for you? Like, what is that dream?
Yeah, that's the thing. I cannot keep still. I don't know if it's a good thing or not. Yeah, I it's like every day I will have a thing that's
Mm,
going that a new idea or a new venture to enter. But actually, I would say to sum it up, I'm actually at this period where I'm really looking to be a bit more entrepreneurial. I think prior to this, I was a lot in corporate, in MNCs, leading companies, right? But it was never really my own. So I think now I'm looking to really build something from the scratch. And what better way than to enter into something that I really love to do? So, like I mentioned, I think just now earlier, I said after Muslim Pro and being in Muslim Pro, I felt like I couldn't do anything else that is not related to the Muslim community. The reason for this is because I felt that our Muslim community is so underserved and there's such a huge opportunity to breach tech and faith, right? And I think this is the upcoming main industry, and upcoming segment because I think Islam is a way of life. I've always said this, everyone knows this. Islam is a way of life. It's not just you pray 5 times a day, you read the Quran, and that's it. It's in the way you dress, it's in the way you teach your kids, it's in the way you treat, do business, it's in the way that it's in everything, and you have to integrate it. But people previously is a bit different how they integrate it. But now, we want things that's on the go. We want things that we wish that there is halal finance investment. We wish that there's halal travel, everything, right? So halal social media, and I think that bits and pieces I'm seeing from my discussions with a lot of the founders and leaders in the space, everything is somehow there already. There is a marketplace, there is a halal marketplace, halal social media, halal chat, everything, halal finance, halal insurance. But how do we bring it to the level of what the mainstream businesses are doing, How do we integrate it? Because we're really talking about 2 billion Muslims, upcoming 2 billion Muslims. It's not a small number. We are niche, but we are not so niche. We're not small, We are niche, but we're not small. So I think that's what I'm entering into. So I've just recently launched a company called M2M Digital. So it's Muslim to Muslim. The idea is that it's Muslim to Muslim, marketing to marketing, media to media, but mainly Muslim to Muslim. M2M Digital, private limited. So the idea is that I find that through a lot of my consultancies with companies, I realize that a lot of them they don't want just a paper. Like a lot of the big boys, what they do is, okay, this is my research, this is what you should do. Okay, you should go into the form of digitalization. You should have a web or have an app or have a automated chatbot or something like that. But then, okay, thanks for this idea, but who does it for me? Where do I go? Do I go to Bangladesh, India? Do I go to Europe? Do I go to Singapore to get developers? Okay, so that's one part. How do I develop the product? So I have now actually arranged, like I have partners with a huge group of developers from different parts of the world, all in their own niche. That's how I'm able to hopefully help the ones who like who's wondering, okay, where do I do my web? Where do I do my app? Right. So that's one. So providing that product development solutions, digital solutions, that's one of the things that's inside this company that I'm looking to offer. Secondly is consultation. So consultation is not just, okay, this is what you should do, but it's also hand holding.
Mm.
Okay, so you have an app now. What do you do? Okay, I have an app. Great. It's listed on App Store and Play Store. But how do I get my first 1,000 users? How do I get my first 10,000 users? A lot of them have not even heard of paid advertising before and everything. How do I do that? SEO, all of that, right? So, okay. So then I can actually, we provide consultation on that too. And then lastly is also we provide consultations on to monetize to get your first investor. How do you do it? So these are some of the things that we provide consultation on too. But on top of that, so this is a digital company, but on top of that, I also have just launched my new app. So it's called Hero Mental Wellness app. So this is also a little bit, it stems from my findings when I was working with the Muslim community for the past 5 years. I realized a lot of them, they feel like, okay, whatever issues, problems that they have, how do they resolve it? You know, a lot of the in the Western world, they say, okay, go to psychiatrists, go to this, which is all perfectly fine. But for those who believe that the answer really lies in our religion, in the Quran, all the issues actually stems from there is a solution for it that is being taught to us already via the Quran or the Hadith and everything. This is the platform for it. So essentially, you can put in whatever issues you're having, and then they will guide you through what to do. Certain du'as, certain frameworks that is based and that is trained by Hadith, Quran, and also Islamic psychological books and psychiatrical books. Yeah, essentially. So yeah,
I'm so
that's what I'm
curious
doing.
to see how people are gonna interact with the technology. It's because like it's a question of intuitiveness, right? People are used to calling up an ustaz, going up to the mosque, or speaking to people. Just maybe just to for the audience sake, like how do you make it? What's the big pull for people to want to use the app instead of maybe just speaking to the ustaz in the mosque or something like that? Yeah.
Well, I think honestly, this might not work 5 years ago or even, yeah, but I think people are becoming more savvy now.
Yeah.
Previously, when you're having an issue, you want to talk to your friend first or your an ustad first. But then now, when you're having an issue, you ask ChatGPT first, right? Or you Google first. So I think the behavioral pattern of
Mm,
our current users are already ripe for this.
mm,
So that's one. But now do you ask ChatGPT and Google, but what kind of sources are they taking from, you know? Is it verified? You can go to YouTube for like Mufti Meng, Imam Omar Sulaiman, resources and everything. But you need to actually search, is it relevant to what you're feeling and everything? So the idea is that this is where you can get instantaneous answer. The first layer
mhm.
first, you can get verified ones, you can get verified resources, answers first from this. It gives you the confidentiality too, because not a lot of people like to just talk to people about it. They will just keep it inside. But if it's just between them and their phone, why not, right? So it's also that. And I'm just saying that this is just the first layer. After that, I would love to develop the app such that it then directs you to the right specialist or to the right ustad or ustazah. Or even, for example, I'm saying like, I'm feeling down because my public speaking skills is so bad and I just flunked a very good event and everything. Oh, okay. Then it direct you to a public speaking coach or, all of this. So the idea is that from we become their solution provider in terms of first verified answers, framework, guideline, resources, and then after that, directing them to the right people, to the right resources that is helping them. I'm also even thinking like, okay, let's say I'm obese or I'm having diabetes or whatever. In Islam, what is the sunnah food that helps with diabetes, for example? Okay, then okay, and this is where you can potentially buy it, and then direct them to the ones that selling honey habatus sauda, for example, and everything. So this is my vision. It's still at the MVP version, but inshallah, I'm working towards that.
Inshallah, may Allah make it easy. I mean, guys, obviously, just hearing Farah talk about her dream, you can see how her mind works, right? It's like it expands and grows, and as she more ideas come to light, and she makes more connections, right? Because
Yes.
I like to get behind how people think, but it's very interesting, and it was such a joy to chat with you. Obviously, there's a
Thank you.
lot more that I think we can tease out. So, those of you who like to hear more from Farah, yeah, God willing, next year we are planning a summit, and Farah is one of the speakers, right? She's be one of the keynote speakers, inshallah. And we're very excited because this summit is the buy-in summit, and Farah will be a keynote speaker. And we're looking at certain other names that we won't mention yet. But once it's confirmed, we'll mention certain names who will be the other keynote speakers and fireside chat speakers. And if you're interested, I'll put out the wait list link somewhere, and hope you can join us for that. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Farah. Like personally, for me, one reason why I'm doing this is because of access. I feel like access to people who have done great things, people who have achieved certain things in life, it's not there. It's hard. Thank you so much, Farah, for such an amazing conversation.
Thank you for me. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. We will end the live, and I'll catch you guys soon. Take care. Bye
Thank
bye.
you, Sofian.